heck is all that up there? Well, look at the cool like graphic thing we have up here. What? 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 Okay, so it's gonna do that. Look at that! Look at that! It's like we got a graphic thingy up there. So now we gotta have music to go along with it. So it goes dun 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 dun, and there we are.
Ta-da!
Look at that. Humming. That would be cool. You know. So you got that on there. June bug. There's like it's like weird choppy motion. I wonder if anybody else is seeing it like that. Huh. Okay. Chop, 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 chop. Hey, Mortis005 is on here. I see a Brian. I see a William. I see an Alan. I see a Mortis005. I see a Neil. I see a Marty. Very, very cool. I see a Sean. I see a D.W. Low. Very cool. Very cool. Sound very glitchy here. Sound very glitchy here. Test, 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 test. Test. Testy. Testy. Everything seems okay on this end. Let's see what it sounds like. Let's see what this sounds like. Test, 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 test. Oh, that's really loud.
Oh,
test, 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 test.
It says headphones.
Oh, yeah. That's right. The headphones are plugged in.
So you said lots of buffering at first, but better now. Sounds good, DW Low says.
Sounds good. Hey, gang. Sound very glitchy here. Sound good to me. Sounds good here. Buffering at first. Yeah, it was. It was doing some weird buffering there at the start. And you know what? I'm pretty sure it's the Russian hackers. Maybe YouTube just hates Dave's singing. Oh, what kind of crazy talk is that?
That's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. The voice of an angel.
That's unbelievable.
I get baby. Yeah. Oh, she wasn't sleeping.
She was resting.
She was not sleeping.
Her face. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, you're supposed to put her head a little bit more than that.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Oh, look at that yawn, Mama.
Oh,
look at that
dear.
yawn. Oh, what a yawn. Oh, I think she's about to cry. Here, you take her. Mortis, it's the Monopoly people. Do they have? Hey, Robert Reynolds is on here. Thank you so much for jumping on here, Robert. Stu Rat is on here. Very nice. Very, very cool. Just like Ethel Merman. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Oh, gosh.
Anything you can do, I can.
Pulp Alley the musical.
We should do a Pulp Alley musical.
Give me the baby.
We should do a Pulp Alley musical where we sing like all of our lines during the game. Like all of our lines. I'm going to move 6 inches.
Give me my baby.
And attempt the plot point. We're supposed to be live. Hey, everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley, and I am with the world's most dangerous June and her mother. So I had some fun stuff to talk about tonight. I don't know where my list went though. Oh, this is bad. Oh,
Is it
dear.
on the desk?
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah.
We're gonna have to wing it.
No, we'll just wing it.
Guess we'll start talking
Which is
about
completely unlike us.
We'll have to start talking football.
Hey guys, what? Start talking what?
Football.
Football. So any of you guys follow football?
How about those footballs?
How about those footballs? How about them? How about them footballs? Just want to remind you guys that is we're giving these away in April. We're gonna drop one of these in every box that we ship. This is a brand new red herring card.
Ooh.
Check this out. Check this out. Lovely, lovely red herring card. Brand new for this year. So for the month of April, you can get one of these dropped in your box. If you're the stuff that we're shipping to you is has at least $25 or more, then you're going to get one of these dropped in your box for free. Obviously, if we're not shipping you anything, then there is no box for us to drop this into. So if you just order in PDFs, we can't send you one.
Can we send them the PDF version?
You don't get it in a box. I suppose if you want to do that.
We could probably finagle it.
She's going to finagle something. Hey, boys and girls, could you please make sure you take a moment right now and hit that like button for us? That's awfully important. Do your part. Also, if you're not a subscriber, I just about bet everybody on here is a subscriber. Otherwise, they wouldn't really be on here. I don't think. I don't know. But if you're not, if by chance you're not a subscriber, you ought to be. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. And as a special favor to baby June, we would love for you guys to hit that share button so you can send this video out to your nearest and dearest and get this video out there in front of the eyes of other folks. Let's see what folks are talking about tonight. We got Mortis 005. It's the Monopoly people. Yeah, the Monopoly Mafia, as I like to call them. Here's something about Monopoly, and I want you guys to realize this. In any legitimate sport, in any legitimate contest, in any legitimate, game that actually involves skill rather than chance, any game that is truly skill based, you will have certain people rise to the top and kind of dominate the sport or the game for a while until other people make the adjustment and figure out what they're doing, right? In tennis, in football, in fencing, you name the sport, and there are stars that rise to the top and dominate for a while, right? Not in Monopoly. Not in the high stakes world of international Monopoly play. It's very, very unlikely that the same person ever goes to the international championships because it's just chance. It's a slot machine. You're just rolling dice to see who gets to go. It's you go. Very seldom does the same country even win, 2 times in a row. It's just such a game of chance. It's ridiculous. It's a terrible game. Everybody knows it.
Hey, guess what?
What?
Today is June's 1 month birthday.
1 month old. Woo! 1 month old.
She's very excited.
I can tell she's excited. She almost opened her eyes for it.
She has one eye kind of peeking.
Anyway, Monopoly's crap. How about this Death on the Nile movie?
How about it?
Bessy, what do you got to say about Death on the Nile? Has anybody out there seen this? And I think apparently it's currently playing on the
HBO Max.
Say it again.
HBO.
They call it the HBO Maximum. I don't know what that means.
No one calls it the Maximum, but it's fine.
The HBO Maximum, I believe, is the full name. Home Box Office Maximum, for those of you out there that, actually call things what they actually are.
Apparently it's also on Hulu.
Oh, it's on the Hulu. What? Also playing on Hulu. So anybody watch the Monopoly Overlords are coming for you, Dave? Sign of resignation from Bessy. I like the non-competitive Monopoly. Really? Isn't that the only type? I don't think there is a competitive Monopoly.
Okay, we're gonna have to turn your Monopoly down. Let's focus on the Death on the Nile.
Looks good, but I haven't seen it. Sean Peck says, looks good, I haven't seen it. I'll stick with Peter Ustinov movie. You and me both, William. You and me both. I don't know. Have you seen this new version? And there are things. Saw it with my wife, says Scott Howland.
So some people haven't yet, so no spoilers.
What?
Some people have not seen it. Marty Devine says he has not seen it yet.
What do you mean no spoilers?
Don't do your spoilers.
What do you have to say about it?
I was disappointed.
Careful, no spoilers.
I know, that's spoiling it. I was a little disappointed by it.
Oh, Bessy says she was a little disappointed by it. Why was that, Bessy? Do tell.
I found their ending to not be as what I would have liked.
The ending did not measure up in our opinion, and I think that's kind of where
Romancing the Stone
really fell short. What? Who said what?
Bride G said, "I'll stick with Romancing the Stone."
I'll stick with Romancing the Stone. Classic. It is okay.
I liked the Murder on the Orient Express better.
I liked Murder on the Orient Express better as well. And there are things that I would recommend you watching the new version and enjoying it, because there are things in it that I think that you could watch and go, oh, that's cool. Oh, I'd love to make a piece of terrain out of that. Oh, look at those cool costumes and things like that. Now, I think it was set in 1933. Is specifically this version of the movie is set in 1933. Which coincidentally is when Agatha Christie released the book Death on the Nile was in 1933 also. But I don't think she actually said it in 1933. I think she said it earlier. But anyway.
But Peter Ustinov one.
Oh yeah. That's an absolutely
that is a chef kiss.
That is a top shelf movie. You talk about so enjoyable. You have who in that? You got like Bette Davis in that?
Bette Davis, Maggie Smith. David Niven.
Yeah. Oh, Murder She Wrote. Angela Lansbury and Peter Ustinov. Wow, what a great movie. And you're right. We actually had to go back and watch the original Death on the Nile. I don't know. I don't know that I should say the original.
Is there a version before I have no idea.
But anyway, we had to go back and watch the Peter Ustinov version of it after watching the Two Bag Bean version.
Yeah,
What?
It's fine.
What?
Well, it's not Two Bag Bean and
what
in it.
Oh, okay. But there were things in it that kind of didn't really go
land
over with me.
Yeah, some things didn't land.
But there were some cool things. I'm glad that they, and it took me a while to decide on it, but I was glad that they kind of explored Poirot's backstory a little bit. And maybe it was just kind of shoehorned in there a little bit just to give like longtime fans of Poirot or Agatha Christie, oh, look, we're adding something new into the lore. And I would say that, what did you think about the new stuff that they added in, like the new lore stuff, like with his lady love and his
Some of it I
past?
liked and some of it I didn't.
What didn't you? What did you like about it?
Well, I think they tied in some of the things that they sort of sprinkled in the first one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not just a longing look at a picture. They kind of
yeah. They tried to explain his lady love from his past. So I don't remember that from the books or any previous movies. So that felt like something that was dropped in there new. But they try to explore that a little bit more and talk about that. They talk about they show his time during World War One, which was interesting. Um, um, of course, a lot of fun stuff in Egypt. There's the opening scene, which I don't feel like in the opening scene that Perot should have been there. And when you go back and you see the old Peter Ustinov version, or I think even based on the story itself, it does not open with Perot being there and seeing everything. He doesn't need to be there. It just felt like it was shoehorned in there, and I think he was the director of this movie. So it's like he just decided to stick himself in the opening scene, which didn't really feel necessary, and it felt kind of pointless and just added in. It would have been perfectly fine if he had been left out. Just like in the Peter Ustinov version, you don't get Perot until you get to Egypt. It didn't. It added absolutely nothing to throw him into the the London scene. It just felt really goofy to me. Although the London scene was cool, despite him being there. So there was still some cool stuff kind of going on. Now one thing that was kind of weird, and am I just dragging this out too much? Maybe we should move on to something else.
What else you got for me?
Maybe we should move on to something else. Eye candy is good, Marty. Yes. Almost too good, Mr. David Lowe. The eye candy felt like the big steamship. Cool, but it felt very CGI to me. Like, again, if you go back and watch the Peter Ustinov version, it's a real, honest to goodness steamship on the Nile, going along. I assume it was the Nile. It kind of felt like it was probably the Nile. But this one, there are times that it just felt very CGI, pretty, but still CGI, like a ridiculously big steamship, um, just over the top luxury. I don't know. It didn't feel right to me, but it is what it is. Still, it was kind of cool, but it just didn't quite feel right. The staterooms were just ridiculously big, like and I don't think they were that large. They just like when they show the scene of Perot in his stateroom, it's just like it's just absolutely huge, and he's only in it for one scene. It just doesn't feel like what a room on a steamboat. Anyway, I would be sitting here and nitpicking at it all night, and Betsy's already given me the eye. But Gal does some great eye candy. Yeah. You want to talk about the okay. I'm moving on.
What else you got for me?
Split fire, split shooting, blam, 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 blam. You ought to explore it. It's in the basic rule book. It's under the shooting rules. Somebody said it was on page 69. So yes, it's actually a real rule. It's not anything that was added in second edition. It's a legitimate rule from first edition, that you can shoot at multiple enemies. the thing about it is, and go in and read it. There's only like a really small paragraph right here, and it is actually on the page, bottom of page 69 right here. Shooting at multiple enemies. You may make ranged attack against multiple enemies by splitting your shoot dice. Starting with the nearest enemy, assign one dice, and yada yada yada. So it's a section in here about how to, and the big thing to remember about it is it's always the active character that is allowed or must split their dice. Voluntarily or involuntarily, it is only the active character that is ever capable of doing that. All right. So, yeah, a nice thing. Now, the thing about that was, and it would have been cool on Sunday. And I don't know how many of you guys saw the game on Sunday when I was having Machine Gun Jimmy splitting his dice, going down through there, blah 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 blah. That was really cool. But the enemy were either getting as many successes as I was, or they were passing their health checks, or they weren't going, or they were making their recovery checks. So most of the time that I was doing it, I was still able to get down at least one per turn, but potentially by splitting my dice, my thought was that I was taking the risk of taking two down rather than simply firing everything I had at one character and putting one down. Even as it was, I was normally putting at least one down. Sometimes I was putting two down a turn with his split fire. Blam, 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 blam. So it was kind of fun. The dangerous thing about that is obviously that you are splitting your dice, and you're not getting to throw as many. That means you have less dice to do blocking and things like that with. So it is a very dangerous thing to do to try and split your dice.
Yeah.
But if you can get it to work, it's pretty fun as well. Um, what do you guys think about? I've seen several posts recently of folks talking about doing Three Musketeers games, and we've done Three Musketeers, or and just black powder era stuff, swashbuckling stories, pirates. I think kind of all fill that area as well. So the question that very frequently comes up is how do you handle the shooting? So what do you guys think? Um, Lemuria was actually designed with that sort of
Yeah.
thing in mind, the Lemuria campaign. And in that campaign, we tried very hard to simply get it to a place where it would be really easy to keep track of, and that didn't have a whole lot of moving parts. And that was to simply say you could shoot once per turn, and that's all we did. That was the only rule that we put in there, was to say a character cannot shoot more than once per turn. So we didn't get into using an action to reload, which I think is cool. And for folks that want to do stuff like that, can throw it in there. Then you have to decide, is it a full action or is it a regular action? Can you move and reload? And there's folks that'll say that's absolutely ridiculous to even think that you could reload on the move like that. Just depending on what your concept of the time is. But we basically said, let's keep it down to just one shot per turn. I'd like to know what else you guys do. If you have a suggestion on how you do your black powder weapons, we'd love for you to leave a comment down below. Come back to this video afterwards and type in, what your suggestion is for folks that are doing it. Honestly, and I have had folks that say, I don't change a single thing. And the reason is that it's really about how you choose to design your characters. You don't have to make them shooty. And if you're going to design your characters specifically if you're going to make them and create them, and you're making characters and you're putting their low dice in shooting, well, that automatically means that they're really not going to spend a lot of time shooting, especially if you look at low level characters like allies and stuff like that. If you only give them one dice in shooting, then that almost by default means that they're not going to get to shoot more than once per turn, unless you get into close range, and then maybe they get that close range bonus and they can get an extra shot off. And that could just represent the brace of pistols. In other words, by you choosing to create your characters for that setting and making them less shooty or no not shooty at all, um, then you're creating that setting without having to create special rules for the setting. Just make your characters musketeers, and you don't have to make a bunch of shooting rules for it. Let's see what folks are saying up here. Oh, I'd love to buckle some swashes. You betcha, man. They ain't no swash I can't buckle. Let's see. Rob, brace of pistols. What we did there was characters that took the two guns ability. So there's an actual ability called two guns, and if you took that, then that would allow you to fire twice per turn. Um, let's see. Turn shooting to sword skill. Yep. Yeah, William says. Yes. Yes, exactly. And that's what I was talking about really, was just uh if you design your characters to be swashbuckling characters, then you really don't have to create a bunch of special rules for shooting, because they're not going to have a bunch of shooting abilities or shooting skill, right? Some of them may not have any shooting at all. So anyway, so short on time here, but one thing I was wanting to talk about, that Bessie wanted to talk about, was s- Russian slap fighting, Russian slap contests. Have you seen this? Have you seen this on the interwebs?
That's not how I spend my time, no.
Yeah, she's a big fan of the Russian slap contests. So if you haven't seen it, and when I was watching it, with her, because she had it on, and I happened to notice
you can't look away from that kind of thing.
It was kind of fascinating, and it was kind of interesting. But here's the thing: it was slow, like, right. They take their time. It's very measured, right? They put their the one guy puts his hands on the table on one side, and the other guy stands on the other side of the table, and these are mostly really big guys, and then they'll measure out their swing. They'll go up and out, okay, and then they'll come back and they'll bring it up again, and then they'll come back and they'll bring it up again.
You think this is a tactic?
What? It could be a tactic, trying to psych them out, because once in a while they'll kind of bring it up kind of fast, but not quite, and the other guy kind of winces a little bit, and then when he's ready, he just hauls off and he slaps the guy. And then the guy, kind of shakes it off, or gets some smelling salts. And then the referee is there to check, and they check for the chalk mark. Did he hit the guy's ear? Because that would be a foul if you hit the guy on the ear or something like that. You're supposed to really just hit the cheek. So, and not down on the neck, and not up on the side of the head. So it's a very controlled sport where you're supposed to hit somebody. So as I was sitting there and watching this, I started to think, you know what? Then after that guy does his slap, after one guy does his, it takes like minutes for this to happen, and then he does his slap, and then the other guy turns around and does it to the other fella. So then he has to stand there and he kind of winds up, right? And you have this long, drawn out, blah, blah, blah. And what it immediately made me think of is every other skirmish game on the planet except for Pulp Alley. Like, that's how most game designers think a fight works. If you look at their rules, that's what they think a fight is. Okay, I'm just going to hit you as hard as I can, and you just stand there and take it, and then later on in a few minutes, I'll let you just haul off and hit me if you're still standing. Like, that's not a fight. That is a slap contest. It's slow. It's kind of goofy. Don't get me wrong. It was entertaining. It was entertaining for a little while, but it's not a fight. Like, Pulp Alley represents boxing and fencing and MMA. Pulp Alley represents HEMA and action adventure movies and actual real combat. That's why when we started designing Pulp Alley, and I told somebody about this issue about me disliking how stupid the I Go You Go games are. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? Have both players roll dice at the same time? Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have both players roll dice because that's how a fight should work. If you actually want to represent a fight, then both players should be engaged. Both players should be struggling and fighting against each other, not one of them standing there with their hands on the desk waiting to be slapped upside the head. How freaking stupid is that? Anyway, that's the end of everything I was going to talk about tonight. Let me know what you guys think about Death on the Nile. Look at my cool cavalry that I was working on. Is this still on? Is this still on?
Mhm.
Look at my cool horsemen that I'm working on for my attack on the truck. This is going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a setup video posted tomorrow at 2 p.m. If you want to see how this video is set up and everything about it. I'm sorry, this scenario and everything about it. It feels like an old stagecoach robbery type scenario. That's what it feels like the stagecoach is trying to get away and the bandits are coming up. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But I have a lot of fun with this scenario. We've played it a couple times. There's a couple videos out there for this scenario, but it works really good. We did do a little change to it, so be sure and watch the video tomorrow, 2 p.m. It will go up on the big screen. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Leave us some comments below for us. Do you guys see our lovely still? Do you see this? You look at this. Let's see if it'll actually work. Ba-bam!
Ooh.
Ba-bam! I don't know. It's just a thing. Okay. Play us out of here, orchestra. Dun 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 dun.